evening to all. I'm Anil, the MC for today. On behalf of the International Buddhist Confederation, I'd like to welcome you all to our 10th Dhamma Talk, which is a part of our ongoing fortnightly program called the International Dhamma Talk Series that commenced on the 19th of November 2021. So for today, we are very honored and happy to have with us our teacher, Venerable Anil Sakya, Deputy Rector, Buddhist University, Thailand, to teach us on the topic Dhamma, Peace and Sustainable Development. So for the viewers, after Venerable's teaching, we will be having a Q&A session. So I request you all to either raise your virtual hands or maybe put them in the chat section. I'd like to read Venerable's brief bio. Venerable Anil Sakya or Phra Dhammashakyavamshavisuddhi, Royal Appointed Ecclesiastical Titular Name, Aka Venerable Sugandha, has been widely recognized as a Buddhist scholarly monk. He not only delivers lectures in world-leading universities, but he has always been invited to teach to top high government administrators in this world and to speak at the UN organizations. He was graduated with an MPhil from Cambridge University and later with a PhD in social anthropology at Brunel University in the UK with the Royal Scholarship from the late King Bhumibol Adulyadej. He has attended at several world organization conferences. To name a few, he represented Minister of Foreign Affairs of Thailand as a ministerial panelist at the second ASEM Interfaith Dialogue in Larnaca, Cyprus in 2006. He was an appointed panelist at the high-level meeting on happiness and well-being, defining a new economic paradigm at the United Nations headquarters in New York in 2012. He delivered a speech at Global Conference 2013 at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris, where he was awarded with the Medal of Legends of Planet for his contribution on greener world. Lately, he's involved as a think tank for the United Nations Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. He has been often invited as a global speaker for Business CEO World under sustainable brands in different countries. In 2017, he was invited by the UN as the keynote speaker at the UN Convention on the International Day of Happiness at the UN headquarters, New York, and as a keynote speaker at the International Conference at the UNESCO headquarters, Paris, France. In 2019, he delivered another keynote speech at the UNESCO for UN celebration of Vesak Day and was invited as a special guest of the Vatican to have an audience with His Holiness Pope Francis to discuss about the role of religions for the SDGs. Recently, he had a meeting and discussion with His Eminent Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the UN, during his official visit to Thailand. Currently, he is residing at the Royal Monastery of Wat Punarvi Vihara in Bangkok, Thailand, where he holds the position of an assistant abbot. In the field of the Sangha administration, he is the regional Sangha governor for regions 6 to 7, Dhammayut, covering 8 northern provinces of Thailand. In the academic field, he is the honorary rector of the World Buddhist University under the World Fellowship of Buddhists and deputy rector of the Mahamudra Buddhist University. He represents the modern phase of the Theravada Buddhism, a bridge between the monastic's principled authority and the ever-changing realities of secular existence. Now, with this, I would like to request Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya, Secretary General IBC, to kindly give his welcome speech.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dudiyampi tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. A very good afternoon to all venerable members of Mahasangha, venerable monks, nuns, esteemed upasakas, upasikas, brothers, sisters, and friends in Dhamma who have joined this online virtual Dhamma Talk series today. I take this opportunity to welcome you all to this Dhamma Talk 10 IPC has been organizing for the benefit of all those who are spiritually inclined to alleviate, transform, and transcend the suffering world. I heartily welcome Most Venerable Anil Sakya, Phra, Dhammashakyavamshavisuddhi, who is also known as Venerable Sugandho. Though I know Most Venerable Anil Sakya, Venerable Sugandho, for a long time, it is really a happy moment for me to welcome him, the Most Venerable, to this Dhamma Talk series being organized by IBC. You are most welcome, Venerable. This Dhamma Talk series is aimed to reach out to the people who have the inclination to understand, learn, and practice the teachings of the Buddha for the benefit of themselves and also for the benefit of, or to benefit the people around, other living beings. When we are passing through the distressing situation in the world, the teachings of the Buddha, the message of peace, loving kindness, compassion is very much needed. I would request Most Venerable Anil Sakya, Venerable Sugandhoji, to deliver his speech, his Dhamma talk on the topic Dhamma, peace, and sustainable development. Most Venerable, the floor is yours.
Most venerables and upasikas who are eager to learn the Buddha's Dharma. Today, I would really like to thank Venerable Dhammapiya and the IBC, International Buddhist Confederation, who have given me an honor to deliver a Dhamma talk to the audience of the IBC. The topic I have been given by the organizer is Dhamma, peace, and sustainable development. With further ado, I would like to say that when we talk about Buddhism, these words as a Dhamma, as a peace, even as a sustainable development, is very crucial phrases one really would need to understand when we talk about Buddhism. In my many deliberations in conferences and my classes in the universities and many Dhamma talks, I sometimes go to certain end and say that Buddhism sometimes doesn't fit under the word religion, especially with the English phrasing of religion. Because when we talk about religion, it is always to do with the belief. It is always to do with the faith. It is something to do with a relationship with a higher power, supreme power, supernatural power. Whereas Buddhism is all about here and now, akalika dhamma. We know that when we chant the Dhamma, virtues, for example, in Pali, we always chant in Buddhist communities, Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanayiko Pachatang Veditapo Vinyohiti. If you really want to understand Buddhism, I would say that the simple understanding of these 5 definitions of the Buddha, or the 5 definitions of the Dharma, is more than enough to define what Buddhism is all about. In fact, when we talk about Buddhism, we always think just give me a few minutes. Just give me a minute. I just want to show you. Okay, this will do. Okay, then if we see these 3 words which is in the topics, Dharma, peace, and sustainable development, you will see that in fact all these 3 words is in fact we are talking about the same thing. In English, for many, when we think of Dharma, especially in the Asian context, we talk about the Dharma, and that is a direct interpretation of the word religion. But English word religion and Dharma, as in Pali and Sanskrit, has a totally different meaning. Because in Pali or in Sanskrit even, when we say Dharma, it is something that dharaniya, it is something that which is established, which is firmly established, or simply which is balanced by its nature. That is a Dharma. That's why we say sometimes Dharma is a law. Law in a sense of natural law. Therefore, when we explain Buddhism, many love to explain, many love to go in the story of next life, past life, heaven and hell, and so on. I would say that you can go to a certain extent for your own curiosity, for your own philosophical search. But the Buddha's ideas about whole ideas Buddhism is that how to find yourself. That's why Buddhism is not about the past. Buddhism is not about the future. Buddhism is not about who created this world. Buddhism is not about when the world is going to be doomed. But Buddhism world is your world. Your world in a sense that how you have been living this very moment. Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo. Dhamma, which is well taught, has a character of sun.
जी सर अपने उससे आए होंगे मैं पता कर रहा हूँ फिर एक बार
Sun means that you're by yourself detailed.
वो तो चलेगा
The dharma or the law or the truth which you can see for yourself, see by yourself, that is a sanditiko. When you're able to see for yourself, what does it mean? It means that it is nothing about the past. It is nothing about the future because past is already gone. Future is not yet to become. So if you can see for yourself, it means that you are talking about here and now. That is what called akaliko. A means my, kaliko means time. It is beyond the time conditions. But whereas the real meaning is that it is nothing about the past and nothing about the future. Don't forget that. We are the victim of time. We are victimized by time. We are prey of time. Every moment, every day, we are thinking of our life is geared, our life is driven by the past or future. Even the Dhamma Premi, the one who loves Dhamma and listening here, I don't know how many of you are really listening to my talk. While you are listening, of course you are listening, you are watching in front of your phone, in front of your tablet, in front of your computer. But in fact, at the same time, you are doing so many other things, physically, verbally, and mentally. You have a monk sitting in front of you, giving a Dhamma talk, but at the same time, you are engaging, entertaining a lot of other things going on around you. Even if you are not doing all other things, you are sitting quietly, but your mental entertainment is still going on. Each word, each dharma, each utterance I have uttered, it triggers your ideas. It triggers your view. And suddenly, that view, that idea will take you to your memory, your past. I have heard something like that. Oh, I have never heard like this. Or you might go to the future and saying that, is that true? What Venerable say? I don't think so. It should be like that. It wouldn't be like that, you see. This is all our judgment. We are always using our judge and using our memory, the sanya, and the anagata, the future, in order to see that what we are doing, and totally we forget what we are doing. We even forget that why we are sitting and watching this Venerable talking. Because although physically we are in front of these medias, but our mental entertainment lead us to somewhere and we totally forget and totally not able to appreciate what we are hearing. So the whole thing is akaliko. A means my, kaliko means our time, kala means time, akala. Sometimes we say that someone died of akala, means that someone died young, not supposed to die, and die akala. So Buddha's idea is that the time is amara. Time is our enemy. Time is always hunting us and leading us to somewhere. And it makes us feel sorry with whatever the past happened. And we are always eager and hopeful, expecting for the future. And with past and future entertainment, we totally forget what you are doing now, here and now at this moment. Therefore, the whole idea of Buddhism is not about the past, not about the future. It is akaliko, it is about here and now. Simply, it is said that if I asked any of you who are in front of this media, and then if I question you that how long it will take to sit here, so what would be your answer? How long it would take to sit here? It would take for you to sit here. So what would be the answer? Somebody immediately watched the clock and watched and said that, oh, I have been sitting here for 20 minutes now. Or somebody says that, according to the program, it will go on until the 1.5 hours. So we have to sit another 1 hour, for example. Simply means that you are determined by your past and you are expecting by your future. And totally, you forget that actually it doesn't take any time because you have already sitting already. If you know that you are sitting now, I'm listening, I'm watching, it means that it doesn't take any time, it's beyond time. That is whole idea of akali. So you can see for yourself, it is provable, understandable. It is nothing about faith, nothing about belief, because to believe is to be stupid. To believe is not know. If I say that this is a mouse, I don't have to say that I believe this is a mouse, because I know this is a mouse. So the word Buddha is all about knowing. It is not about believing. If I don't know what is this, I've never seen this sort of things, then I will have to really take something in my memory and compare it. I believe it is something like I know. But if you know for yourself, become awakened, become knower, then you don't have to say I believe. So therefore, when we talk about religion, Buddhism, it is nothing about belief. We always say that when we talk about Buddhism, we always say that Buddha taught us to not to believe in anything, especially in the Kalama Sutta. But one who quote the Kalama Sutta, they quote in a same way as what we believe, because it is said that I believe that it is taught to be not to believe. So because we are always asking, we are always quoting the Kalama Sutta, but instead of taking those Kalama Suttas, principle in Kalama Sutta in practice, we always quote and then teach others that, you see, Buddha says that in the Kalama Sutta, this and that, don't believe in this and that. So believing that it is, we shouldn't believe. So this is what sometimes we fall into our own trap. Sanditiko, akaliko, ehi pasiko. Ehi means that come on. Pasiko means that look at it. So once it is something understandable, it is self-understood, something that we are talking about here and now, which is visible, which is seeable, which is provable, because we are nothing we are talking about something you can't see. Nothing we are talking about the past or future. We are talking about here and now. So in a sense that I can ask and challenge everyone to come and see, come and debate, come and learn. Nothing to hide. Once ehipasiku. The problem is that when we talk, when we started to discuss, we fall into the trap again. And it's become a darshan. It's become a philosophy. Ah, yes. This is very, very interesting. Oh, yes, it is well said. Oh, yes, that something is very, very amusing. You go and, trying to search. Then you are trying to debate on where we come from. What was our past life? When we die, where we are going? Again, you fall into the trap of searching for the future, reminiscing your past again. You see? So that's why it is something that we can discuss openly, but at the same time, if you keep on discussing all the time, it will fall into the trap of philosophy. Love in the knowledge. So Buddhism is not even a philosophy. That's why Buddha said that. Because whatever we are discussing, whatever we are talking, it is something what we call opanayiko. Opanayiko means that which can practice for yourself. It's empirical, it is practicable. In some of the commentary, it even says that it can lead to the nirvana opanayiko. Means that whatever you do, whatever you practice, it will surely lead to its ultimate goal. That is nirvana. So whatever you are talking about, it is not the sake of just talking, but it is something that you can cultivate, you can develop in your actions, in your thought, in your speech. Ehipasiko opanayiko pacchatang veditabo vinyohi. Once you practice, you will know for yourself for sure that what you are practicing. So you don't have to believe even to the Buddha. You don't have to believe in somebody because you will know for yourself what you are doing. Just like when we drink a cup of tea, you will know that whether tea is sweet, tea is cold, or tea is bitter, tea is hot, because it is yourself who was tasting that tea, not someone else. You don't have to believe on someone else tasting the tea and tell you that the tea is bitter, because bitter is a very subjective in that sense. But if you test yourself, you will know for yourself that why, how it tastes. So this is a simple definition of Dharma Buddha has given, and then we have been chanting every morning and evening in many, many Buddhist events we used to chant. That is all about Dharma symbol. So Dharma means something or anything which can make you understand of the truth you are living in this world. The Dharma is something we are talking about here and now, not about the past, not about the future. We should throw that both away and live in the present and enjoy it every moment you are having it. When you listen to the Dharma, for example, as you are doing now, as I said earlier, when we listen, our mind works very hard. Generally, when we listen to the language we know, every word you hear, it will go to your memory and then match it with your memory. What does it mean? Once it matches with your memory, you are able to put things together, sankhara, and then vijnana occur, the knowledge, acknowledgement of what you are listening, what you are seeing. So that is how it works. So not about the past, not about the event. The past, whole idea of the past is that some of the memories, some of the sanya we have been accumulated throughout our life. So the whole past is only relevant when you have the sati, in a sense, the mindful. These days in English word mindfulness is a very accomplished word actually. It is not a kind, just one is sati, as we use in the Buddhist term, because in the Western world, they have taken the word mindfulness and they have make it Western word nowadays. So it is not just like a smriti or sati in Pali and Sanskrit, which means just a memory. The memory is only relevant when you have a samprajanya or sampajanya. Means that able to draw that memory to the present. That is a kaliko, you see. It is only relevant when you can bring here and now. So therefore, the whole idea of a dharma in Buddhism is something which we have to develop to understand yourself, to understand our surroundings, in a sense, what is going on in our life, what is going on in our world, not the outer world, inside world. And it is known, it is understood from here and now point. It is now at the moment. So this is a very important point of Buddhism, I would say, which make it very, very different from all other religions. Because most of religions, they kind of allure you with your future places or ask you to correct your past. So that's why, in India, we will see that many go to the river and then wash their sin in the river. Whatever they have done wrong in the past, they are using the water to wash it out, all the pollutions. But Buddha says that pollution is not there, which can be washed by water. But the punya, which means that the washing, it has to be done in your mind. So when you say the punya karma, doing the punya, it is not only the doing the actions of offering the things to the monks, building the monastery, or doing all the good things. That is all the manifestation of cleansing. But the main idea of a punya, therefore, is that cleansing your mind, not out there. And then our mind is polluted by what? By klesa, the defilements, which we always say that the lobha, dvesha, moha, desire, craving, hatred, and delusion. What does these three mean? Actually, we are talking about the same thing, but in a three facades. Because of we don't understand, we don't know who we are, what we got it, what is our capacity, what is your social status, who you are. Once you don't know, you always want this, want that, want to be this, want to be that. You see, the desire, the craving. Craving is occurred because you don't know who you are. And seeing this and that, it will urge you to want to have just like him, just like her. And when you have desire, when you have a craving, what happens? Sometimes you get it, you become happy. I don't know how long you can be happy, but okay, you can be happy for some period of time. Then the mood change because things keep changing and it's impermanence. Once things change, then you started to upset with whatever you got it. A few minutes ago, you are so happy of getting that. But a few minutes later, what happens is that you are upsetting of that changes. And that's become a hatred. That become something that you started to, you don't like it. You try to hate it yourself. And these are the three facades of the same, what we call is Mara, same klesa, which is created by time. So therefore, when we talk about the Dharma, the first thing we have to understand that Dharma is about something, the truth about here and now, which we can translate, which we can understand now, based on the truth of the present truth, the current truth. The current word we are hearing, it makes it sense and able to see what you are doing at the moment. When you're able to see yourself, it means that your idea, your ego, your desire, your hatred, whatever it is, it's going on every moment after moment, your emotions, your feeling, your expectations, your memory. If you're able to see those things as it happening, that is what we call in Buddhism, insight meditation or vipassana. I guess many have heard about the word vipassana. We extraordinary, pasana means that seeing. So seeing extraordinary means that you have to develop the ability of X-ray way of seeing it. X-ray machine can see only the things which is tangible, which is visible, and able to see through it and make it invisible. But the vipassana in our life, in every moment, once you have that wisdom of able to see things through, that is that instead of seeing a piece of a paper, you started to question, where is that paper? You started to question, is that such thing as a paper? Then able to see that actually a paper is a combination of so many other things. Just like water. Scientifically, it says that hydrogen, two part of hydrogen and one part of oxygen become water. So you're able to kind of disintegrate all part and partial of what it makes as a paper, as a water, and able to see everything in different part and partial. And able to see the linkage it makes, the relationship it makes, which is called pratitya samuppada. So when you're able to see these things, and that is what is the basis of what we call vipassana or insight meditation. Because you are able to see here and now and able to really see all the component which makes what we see, what we think. What will happen then? Then it will happen what we call is cognitivity, cognition. That is the understanding, self-understanding. Once you are able to understand whatever it is, seeing through your eyes, hearing through your ears, smelling through your nose, tasting through your mouth, all the tangible things, your body, and even all these ideas. Once you're able to just disclose, put in front and see every part and partial, then that is the whole idea of the Buddhahood. This is about Buddhism, you see. It is not about the past. It is not about the future. It is about the present. So that's why when we talk about Buddhism, etang buddhana sasana. And sasana, we always parallel with the word dharma. The sasana, etang buddhana sasana, sasana basically means that the teaching instructions which eliminate the mental defilements is called sasana. That is the Pali. Sasanang kileseti sasana. Any instructions which can eliminate your mental defilements, that is your desire, your craving, your anger, your hatred, your illusions, if it can reduce that, eliminate that, that is what we call sasana in Buddhism. You see? That sort of a definition in Buddhism is there isn't any exist in any other religion. In any other religion, we have to believe on someone, somebody, and not to question anything. But Buddhism is always asks you the questions in order to get a clear view of what you are seeing. And it is not as clear as you see from through your eyes, but inner eyes. This is a Dharma. Once you see the truth, able to disintegrate whatever you are seeing it in all the parts and partial, and see all the linkage of each thing, how it relevant to each other, why it is always interdependent, then you will know that there is no such thing as a this and that, because in order to have this and that, it has to be interdependent. I am, at the moment, functioning, doing the work as Dhammadesaka, the one who gave the Dhamma. But imagine that actually at the moment I'm just talking in front of my camera, in front of my computer. But if there is no computer, my camera, if there is no listener, but if I'm talking just like I'm giving a talk to no one in this room, what does it mean? Am I a Dhamma talk? I am a teacher after teaching the Dhamma? Yes. In a sense, what we are performing, you can call it I'm a teacher. But I guess that the teacher which have to end his life in the mental institution, because able to talk for yourself without no audience. The teacher is only become a teacher when you have someone to listen to, someone there to teach what you are teaching. Just like your fatherhood, the motherhood, the teacherhood, whatever, whoever you want to call it, man, woman, white, black, day, night, everything is relevant to truth. It is only able to make sense when you know the other part of it. We say afternoon, or we say this evening, because there was this morning. Otherwise, if there's only evening, it doesn't make sense of having evening at all. When we say good, it is defined by the bad. So therefore, in Buddhism, it is very interesting to see that it is hard to find a word good in Pali. It is very, very weird. In English, we can see the word good, which is adjective, of course. Once it is adjective, it means that it's a subjective. Good for whom? Something good for me, it doesn't mean that it should be good for everyone else. So this is something what we call is adjective is actually this kilesa. Adjective is what Buddha called defilements. Because once you see and not able to see here and now, you will see in terms of yourself with your judgment. And suddenly, once your judgment to see things, you won't be able to see the truth of it. Because you are free, you are seeing it through your desire. Therefore, when we are able to understand this reality, the result of that reality is what we call peace, or called santi, or called shanti in Sanskrit. What is santi? San is from the word sam, root verb. Sam is basically means that calming, is that eliminating the kilesa. Just like we have said on the dharma. Dharma is the way, it is something that which can keep the balance of the real truth. And once you are able to see that truth, what will happen is that your mind is calm. yourself is not under the influence of those kilesa. Yourself is not victimized by the desire, hatred, and delusion. The state which you are free from, the desire, the hatred, and delusion, the kilesa. And that is in Buddhism called Buddha, sometimes called Arahata. And that is a mental state, what in Buddhism called peace. In fact, these days, we are using the word peace in totally different meaning. In English, in the Western world these days, when we talk about peace, we are always making it relevant with the word war, with the word civil disobedience, the civil destructions, as it is always happening in time to time. But in fact, even in Latin and even in English, the word peace as the meaning we are using in, as a antagonistic to the word war, the opposite of the war and peace. It is started to use only in the mid-12th centuries. But if we go back even earlier to that, the word pact from the root word, or even the word passion, basically means the tranquility, agreement, which is just like in the Santi in Pali. San or sam means that calm, elimination of the any mental trouble, any obstructions, any urging which always pushing us towards all this busyness. Once you have that kind of a understanding, seeing, able to see the dharma sanditiko, what happens is that your mind is calm because you know that why you want. You got, instead of a moha, you got panya. Instead of a stupidity, you got wisdom. Once you understand, once you know, generally, you will know that why I want to have this, why I don't want to be like that, why I don't like this, why I like this. You will know the cause and effect of your behavior, your feeling, your vision. Once you know for yourself, it is not something that you have to be restrained anymore. Generally, we were taught, we were trained that panati pata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami in the sila. And we generally translated that one should not harm others. But the word should not or do not is not a real translation of Buddhist. Because if you know the word sikkhapadang samadhiya, samadhiya means I accept, I dedicate myself. Dedicate for what? Sikkhapadang. Study the lesson. Study the lesson of what? Veramani, avoiding. Avoiding what? Panadipata. Pata means a severing, cutting. Pana means that the breath. Simply, it is saying that I will dedicate myself to understand the pro and con of harming others. It doesn't say that you don't do or do it. It's based on the situation. Therefore, it is a cognizance. It is not about the command. It is not about the belief. Once you know that every single creature in this world love their lives, just like you yourself love your life. Once you're able to understand this simple universal truth, suddenly you don't feel like you want to harm anyone else. Because if you are harming anyone else, it means that you are harming yourself. You are going against your own will. That is a cognitive. So that is all about the Dharma. Once you are able to understand that the reality, suddenly your mind becomes calm. Oh, I don't want to do that, because if I do that, you will know that all the cause and effect, all the trouble and everything is causing from that disease. So to understand the Dharma, to be able to see the Dharma clearly is very important. It is not believing, it is not about learning, it is not about anything, but able to understand for yourself the reality, able to see through all the reality. Once you're able to see through, your mind is just calm down. That is all about the peace, santi. It is not about going to the war or not going to the war. It is not about killing someone else. But you are able to restrain yourself with understanding, not based on faith or belief. It means that you are living here and now. If you want to take actions on someone's word, you are living in the past. And you will live in the future again with the result of what you do. But if you sit here and now, you don't have that feeling of harming someone else. You don't, if you are listening to my talk, I guess that our mind works in singularity. You can think once in one moment. So therefore, if your moment after moment is thinking about Dharma, there's no way that, there's no chance for desire to take place in your mind. There's no chance to take all the anger and hatred take place in your mind. And this illusion and delusion take place in your mind because you are eager, you are living here and now. And the whole idea of living here and now, suddenly with understanding, is what I call peace, what Buddha called peace, santi. Not to go along, not to play along all the mental defilements, all the lobha, dvesa, and moha, which is always driven, which is always driving us to all different things. If we stop and see that why you are driving, why they are driving us, why these things are driving us, suddenly it can't drive you anymore. And that is what we call peace. Sometimes we call inner peace, outer peace. That is all subject about peace. We are trying to answer the whole general, all the stories about this modern world of peace and war and peace, importance of peace. But the whole idea of peace in Buddhism, it is very simple. It is very practicable that, okay, if you go to the mall and you want to buy this and that because it is cheap, it is giving a buy one, get one free, and so on and so. Once you're able to know that, oh, I got in my home, I haven't using that 1 year, suddenly the eager to buy those things is die down by itself. Once you know yourself, what you got. That is something about peace in Buddhism. So peace is equivalent to the word nirvana. Nirvana means a vana, the arrow. Ni means there is no arrow. There is no arrow which can pierce into your heart. Nibbana in Pali means that extinguish all your desire, hatred, and delusion. That is the level of state of mind, what we call peace. Then it comes to the third word, which is given today, sustainable development. Last 2 years, I guess, when just only last year, I guess, I got a chance to meet with the Antonio Guterres, the present General Secretary of United Nations. When he was visiting in Thailand, he came to visit my temple at Wat Pawan in Bangkok. And I was discussing with him, and I told him that, Your Excellency, do you ever realize that the sustainable development, the United Nations goals, sustainable development goals, SDG, is very, very, what do you call it, oxymoron? And he said, what? Then I asked him, what do you mean by development? Does development mean change? Yes, of course. In order to develop, you need to change. Then, what do you mean by sustained? Sustaining means that it's not changing, doesn't it? Isn't it? Sustainment is not changing, and development is changing. So, what do you mean by sustainable development? The changing which doesn't change, what does it really mean? And he was just, never thought about it. And then I asked him, Your Excellency, do you know who was the first person in this world to give this idea of sustainable development? And of course, it goes to the European or American, especially United Nations, which started in 2015. And before that, they have the idea of the what they call this Brundtland report, where they are talking about this social, economic, and environmental negative impact which happened in the world, and this goes into all these technical terms. And that is what we call sustainable. But I told him that, in fact, the first man in this world to give this idea of sustainable development was the Buddha. And he raised his eyebrow. What? I said, yes. Do you know what is the discourse Buddha first gave after his enlightenment? And he said, yes, it is called first sermon, or it's called Dhammashakyavamshavisuddhi. I said that, yes, Your Excellency. That is the very word which means sustainable development. Dharma chakra. Chakra or chakra in Pali simply means that moving forward with a firm ground, not moving like a wheel. It can just like these days you have these all different kind of wheels. Yeah, motion looks like a wheel, but etymologically, the derivation of the word itself, it shows that it moving forward, but with a firm ground. And dharma. Dharma means that balance. Dharma means that sustainable. Because SUS, sus, in Latin, it's a prefix which means that from below. And the original word for the sustain is tenere. Tenere in Latin, which means that holding, upholding, to hold firmly. So it means that sustainable, with the firm ground is firmly, and sustain, attain, tenere means that holding firmly. Whereas in Pali or in Sanskrit, dharma is from a dhr, the root language, the root word, dhr. Dhr means that established firmly, something upholding, the sense of upholding. So basically, what it is saying that everything what we see is a dharma. For example, this pen is dharma, dharmic, because it can uphold, it's designed to work as a pen. So if I can write it and able to write it, it means that it is a dharma, because it is supposed to be able to write. But the things broken out, the ink dried out, and so it is just become piece of plastic, piece of metal, piece of, I don't know. So it doesn't work as a pen anymore. It has become a dharma. The nature of this pen, it works as a pen, is called dharma. And it is a pen, but it doesn't work as a pen, it is adharma. Simple as it is. So therefore, when you say tenere, is that upholding, the things which uphold as the nature it should be. So uphold with firm sustainment, that with a firm ground, and you are balanced. And that is the same word, dhr, in Pali and Sanskrit, which means that upholding as well, which establish firmly, which uphold firmly, again with the firm ground. So therefore, Dharma Chakra, if we translate it into this modern language, that is exactly word to word, is derivation would be sustainable development, Dharma Chakra. Chakra is a development, Dharma is a sustainable. But I then told His Excellencies that the way United Nations took it, they took it as an ideology. They took it as a philosophy. They took it as a very nice phrase word. And even the United Nations never go into detail how to. It just give a goals. And by 2030, we need like that, we need like this. But how to is live depends on the one who want to achieve that. So therefore, I said that it was the first person in the world who said that all his teaching, all about Buddhism, is about Dharmachakra, is about developing in a balance. And Buddha says that it is not only the ideology, it has to be pavatana, parvatana. Parvatana, pavatana basically means that in practice. So Dhammachakkappavatana Sutta, if we translate by the derivation, by the etymology, you can translate it as a discourse talking about sustainable development in action or in practice. So the Dhamma, whatever we are talking about, the reality which is a relevant truth and what we call is noble truth, the Paramasatya and Samudhi Satya. All those understanding, self-understanding of that reality, it can bring your mind to a calm. It will stop your mind to urge for this and that. It will stop your mind to be a monkey mind. It's calm down. Santi, samatha, samadhi, same word. Same as santi, same as peace. Samadhi means that concentration. Samadhi means that your mind is settled down to one focus and suddenly all other which is jumping around just calm down. Samatha again, technique which can focus on something and your mind is focused on only one thing and calm down again. It's the same word. Just like the Samma again, Samadhi. The Dithi we always translate as a right view, proper view. But the Samma again is word from the Sama, which means the calm. The Dithi, the view, which can lead your mind to be away from or calm from all the kilesa, all the defilements. That is called Samadhi. Therefore, the Eightfold Noble Path, Samadhi, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, whatever it is actually simply means it's something about it is something about what we call peace, or what we call something about which called santi. So whether you call samadhi, whether you call samatha, whether you call santi, it is a derivation, is the same word, which means that calm yourself from all these defilements. But when you talk about defilements, in which grade, in which level, then we are talking about the practice. We can experience the level of a free from desire, free from hatred, free from ignorance, actually in everyday life. Excuse me. But unfortunately, it doesn't last long. So that's why we have to cultivate. That's like we have to have a bhavana. Bhava means that becoming. We need to develop it to become something. And the whole idea of Buddhism, therefore, is that to understand the Dharma, to be able to make your mind peace or calm from all the mental defilements. And if you develop your life in that way, that is what we call sustainable development. If you see my diagram here, you see that this skala, it is something like a Paticamuppada Tibetan drawing, the tanka, but it's totally different. If you see in these pictures, you will see that the kala means the time. The time is consuming. Consume everything. The Buddha says that kalo khasati bhutani. The time is everything. and finally the time itself. Therefore, all the trouble, all the dukkha, everything what we are called suffering, intolerable, is because we are the victimized by the time. We are always expecting for future. We are always reminiscing your past, and that is why we are victimized. We feel suffer. But if you delete, if you can keep mind away from the past and future, suddenly you can appreciate who you are as here and now, akadika. And you don't have a time to hunt us, to hunt you. So the whole idea of a sustainable development goal, as you see, as 17 development goals, are in fact all the problems we are facing. And once we are facing with all this problem, and then how do we get to the end of that suffering? And in the Dhammashakyavamshavisuddhi Sutta, Buddha says that, oh bhikkhus, we practice, or all of you are practicing in the two extremes. So not to please yourself and not to suffer yourself too much on both sides. And that is called middle path. And what's your middle path? What is middle path? Middle path is the Eightfold Noble Path. Starting from the Sammaditthi, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vaca, Samma Kammanta, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Ajiva, and Samma Samadhi. All these Eightfold Noble Path, the predecessors, teachers, masters, categorized into three things called Sila, Samadhi, and Prajna, which is called the Buddhist education, or kind of a Buddhist way of studying. Sila is all about the society. Samadhi is all about mind. And Panya is all about way of your thinking, way of your understanding. So therefore, these Eightfold Noble Path can be really tackled to the problem of 17 problems. All these 17 problems, what we call is the modern world, I have given in a very simple diagram here. If you see that for the S, Sila, you will see that with the Sila, you have a Samma Vaca, communication, you have Samma Kammanta, actions, you have Samma Ajiva, that is to do with other beings, all about social aspect. Then that, if you understand it, if you have a vipassana, if you have a see-through, all you can see that all the 17 goals of a 2, 3, 8, 9, 12, 14, and 15 can be calmed down. You can eliminate that. Similarly, with the word meditation, the samadhi, which is I call here economy, is that effort, samma vayama, mindfulness, samma sati, and concentration, samma samadhi. With other three Eightfold Paths, you can see through it. And then suddenly, when you have the Dharma, able to see that Dharma, then you can have a peace with what the SDG number 1, 6, 7, 10, 11, 13, and 16. And finally, the 4 Panya. P is actually Panya. Panya is about your intellectual capability. And with that intellectual capability, under the Eightfold Noble Path, it's Samma Sankappa, educations, and Samma Ditti, the right view, what we call it. But all the Samma here, I want to clear that it is not about a right or wrong. It is about anything which can eliminate the desire, the hatred, and the delusion. All that is what we call is leading to the nirvana. So therefore, with the Panya, it will able to make peace, eliminate what we call is the SDG number 4, SDG number 5, and SDG number 7. So you can see that whole idea of SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goal, basically is about understanding yourself. In a sense, grounding yourself as who you are. That is called sila. You have become somebody. You have become wherever you are. It's based on society, wherever you are. So this is all about social aspect. Your samadhi is about your development of yourself. And the third is panya, is about your spirituality, is about bringing yourself to understand in a way that it can lead you to the end of suffering. So therefore, if you understand correctly, the word dharma is not a religion. The word dharma is something that you make understand for yourself, as I said it in the Dhamma, as Svakata Bhagavata Dhamma. And once you're able to see things, you can experience the whole idea of a peace, that your mind is not eager, not suffer, not, disturbed by so many, this stimulus, always pointing, always poking you to do and this, do and that. They become always running around. So you become peace, you become calm on that. And that kind of development is what we call sustainable development. So it means that a sustainable development is that kind of development which can keep balance with everything, with society, with your spirituality, with your environment, and yourself. Once you have this, and that practice of that kind of dharma understanding is what I call a true Buddhist, what I call to become a Buddha, what I call to become Arahat. So if you are Arahat, your lifestyle will be sustainable development lifestyle. You wouldn't create any distractions to the society, to the economy, to the environment. You will take every aspect from the society, economy, and environment as a part of who you are and able to adjust yourself. Just like, in the sea, there is always wave is coming, big or small. But if you have a dharma, you are always able to skate over that waves, whether it is a big or small, but you are always able to keep in balance. That is kind of a development. That is kind of a practice. It's called sustainable development, the Dharma Chakra development. So therefore, within 1 hour, so I have given these 3 terms which the organizer has given a task to explain. So I put it in a way that the first thing is that we have to understand what Dharma is. We have to understand that Dharma is about here and now. We have to see through it and able to make it cognizant, your own understanding from inside of you. Just like in English word educare, which means that bringing out your capacity. So that's why in Pali there's no word as a good. Because if it's a good, we call it kusala. Kusala supa sampada, doing good. But the word kusala in Pali, if you translate the word kusala, it's not as skillful. It's a clever at making decisions based on your understanding. So therefore, it is not about good or bad as someone's decision make it, but it is good or bad because of its cause and effect, pro and con of itself. And what Buddha is asking, that we have to go beyond that, not live our life by good and bad, the heaven and hell. But once you're able to see that, you have to live the present life with the awareness, with the mindfulness, and able to develop your life in a more calm once you see things, instead of poking you to run around. You know it. Just like we were always scared by what we call the ghost, the feeling of idea of a ghost. And we get fear because we don't see. When it gets dark, we get fear. And Buddha says that why we become like that? Because we don't see that. We don't know. Suddenly in the room you are sitting, the light goes off. Suddenly pitch dark. What happened? you start to create all those monsters around you. And you become very fear because you are fear of unknown. Suddenly, when the light is switched on, you can see that, oh, there's a computer, there's a bed, there's this, and there's that. And suddenly all fear is gone. So therefore, if you want to live a life of fearlessness, if you want to live a life of sustainable development, that is what Buddha taught in the first sermon, that you have to develop this idea of seeing things through it, and then pacify those kilesa, their mental defilements, which can, urge you to do this and that. And that kind of life is called sustainable development. So I'm given explanation based on Pali and Sanskrit derivations and what it really meant in the Pali Tipitaka sense. But if you are using the word in modern context, it is totally different. Peace is something about no war. Peace is something about people are talking about the civil disorder. Dharma is about the law. Dharma is about the institution. Dharma is about the, set of teachings. And sustainable development is all about the development, geared by the United Nations. But if you understand Buddhism, the Buddhist idea of understanding self in here and now and able to live with whatever is going on in a more fresh and understanding, and that is the way what they call is sustaining life. Therefore, in old days, if you read the Pali, if we converse in the Pali, you ask that, Kamaniyang Bante, how are you? Then you answer that, Kamaniyang, I am tolerable, I am sustainable. You see? So whole idea of sustainability is the daily conversations of the Buddhas, of Buddhism. So let me conclude that the whole idea of Buddhism, if I put it to the single word, is that we have to understand the Dharma, to experience the peace, and the way the life, understanding the Dharma and having a peace is called the life of sustainable development. The life living with the Dhamma chakra. The life living with the mindfulness. The life, what we call it, a Buddhist, a Buddha, one who knows the Buddha, and you become the Buddha yourself. So may you all able to understand your reality and able to pacify your kilesa, and then be an example of a life who live by the ideology of sustainable development, which is the ideology the United Nations is taking its words and spreading all over the world. From Buddhist point of view, that is the world. We are really hopeful that people will get to the certain level of happiness and peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anil, for such a profound teaching and for your blessings and your prayers. Now the floor is open for the Q&A session. Any participant, online participant would like to ask Anil a question, can you raise your virtual hand, or you may also put it in the chat section.
Yes, if there is any questions, please, because I understand that is a 1-hour talk. I don't know what is the time at the moment.
We have about 7-8 minutes.
Yeah, there's about 15 minutes to go according to your program, I guess. So if there's no questions, I don't know whether the way
Yeah.
yes, please.
Anil, can I
Yeah.
ask you?
Yes, please.
Can I ask you? I'm from Nepal. I just
Oh,
wrote to you
right.
and I'm working in Lumini Kabil Bastu for, as you said, sustainable development. But I'm trying to bring it through international tourism, tourism economics, and your venerable must be aware that Nepal is doing a lot of good things through tourism, right from Mount Everest to Annapurna and all across Nepal. But at the same time, we are also trying to uplift people because everybody is not well educated, but they have a brilliant, local knowledge and indigenous skill. By using that, we are trying to uplift societies by introducing local as well as international tourism, which I call under the banner of Buddha economics. Buddhanomics means enough to live, enough to survive, and enough to embark on a new and great journey of bigger economic development. I hope it will be okay in course of time, but we are already showing some result, Venerable.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much for that comment. Actually, I just want to share my experience in one of the conference I attended a few years back in Hong Kong, in the Hong Kong University. And that conference was on Buddhist economy, as you mentioned, it was a Buddha economy, Buddhist economy. And then, so everyone was good because everyone was enjoying, and the presenter is a expertise from America who has written, she's written the Buddhist economy book, I think Mary something, I can't remember her name. And then, so it was a very, very fruitful discussions. And one Chinese student at the end asked one very, very sensible questions. And she asked that, okay, this economy, the model of this economy is so good, but does it means that when you say the Buddhist economy means that if I'm a Christian, I'm not allowed to use it? Am I right? Or if I have to use that this economy model, I have to convert myself to be a Buddhist? So this is one of the very, very...
He misunderstood, I think.
Yeah.
Buddhism is not religion, the way we ordinary people understand. I think Buddhism is way of life. And you have also elaborated about Buddhism today, which was very enlightening. But whoever asked you that question, I mean, he was maybe a little bit disoriented or confused. And I'm sure your Venerable must have clarified his mind. But what I'm trying to practice and bring in Nepal is to use the benefit of the local knowledge of these uneducated people and their indigenous skill and their indigenous entrepreneur enthusiasm and skill, to develop something for their sustainable living. And your Venerable just now explained that in Thailand, sustainable means sufficiency. Okay, but here I'm inspiring them that let us first go for the first step using our local knowledge and indigenous skill and our attitude of entrepreneurship, which is given by God through our genetic codes written in our humankind system. Let us first stand up. Let us uplift ourselves. And once you are standing on your 2 feet, with a sufficient economy, as your Venerable has explained today, then we can embark on a bigger journey. So that's why I call it Buddha plus economics, Buddhanomics. Why? Because people could understand it. And Buddha economics in Nepal, I'm trying to explain them that first we have sufficient to live on, and when we have sufficient thing or enough things to live on, that is the first line of the emancipation or first line of the freedom, liberty. Then you can embark on a bigger journey. You can be industrious. You can be more bigger entrepreneur. You can also start paying some taxes to the hungry government, and you can uplift your society, and you can always, ensure a sustainable society for everybody.
Yes, that's a very, very noble cause and very good. But when we have to use Buddhism or Buddha Dharma, one thing we have to be very, very clarify, as it says that when you talk about a peace, it is about a peace within your mind. It is about a peace from all the mental defilements. But at the moment, the people are using these ideas in a totally different things. When you say the meditations, meditation is what? Meditation is to calm down all these mental defilements. But these days, people are saying that with the mindfulness, when you have a mindfulness, you can do everything. And in the Western world, you can see that the mindfulness has become a commodity now. It's become a mindfulness. So that's why I'm saying that it's a good cause. But the way people using it, we have to be aware that what is the aim of Buddhism? Yes, Buddhism can be used in the tourism. Buddhism can be used in the commercial. Buddhism can be used in the war and peace, whatever you want to say use. But the whole idea of Buddhism, you have to go to the ground and saying that it is about adjusting your life the way you are surroundings. That is about sukha. It is not about happiness as in English, pursuing for happiness. The word sukha is from the su means ease and kha means tolerable. So how you adjust your life, in your surroundings, whatever you got it, and then adjust to able to tolerate with what you got it. And that is something that it is not about having a development and so and so. Development, it will occur. It will take place when you know who you are, when you know what you want, when you know your capacity, of course. But this is a total understanding what he calls Buddha. So I don't want to use the Buddha or Buddhism as in a commercial, in a kind of way. And we are using, sometimes we overuse the word, and then we become a Buddha instead of a Buddha. And
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, excellent, Venerable.
Yes.
Namaste. I'm very satisfied.
Great.
So, is there any other question? If not, then we can move to our next.
There is one question. I saw in the message. How to take care of mother when they are not aware of triple gem and they think in different way than us? Well, that is a very normal life. Now, if we are thinking the same way, we never know that we are thinking the way we are thinking. We are thinking indifferently because there is someone who is with us who thinks differently. That's why we are different from each other. So the triple gem, we call Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. It doesn't have to be institutional triple gem. Once I was in America, when I was teaching in America, and I was invited to do some ritual, Buddhist ritual, in one of the house whose wife is Sri Lankan and husband is American. And I look at their house when I went there and see around. I noticed that there is some unique feature in that house. The Sri Lankan lady is very devout Buddhist, but her husband is very devout Christian. And as a Buddhist, I noticed that in her house, she tried to put the Buddhist, there's no symbol of Buddhism at all. There's some only small altar which she keep to herself. All decorations everywhere, I see the cross. But because her husband, the wife, want to do some kind of ceremony for her deceased family, so the husband allowed to do that and invited the monks. And the husband is very nice, although the staunch Christian. He did it whatever the wife taught him to do that. And I noticed that when we are giving the precept and refuge, and this gentleman, the American gentleman, kept always silent. He just tried to, just imitate that he's joining his palm, but he's not saying anything. I say Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, he's not saying that anything. Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, he's not saying anything. And all the precept Panadipati is not saying anything. So things went on, passed by. And then when it comes to the Dhamma talk at the end of the lunch, then I raised this issue. I said that the Buddha Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, it is nothing about proclaiming yourself as a Buddhist. It is not about converting yourself to a Buddhist. Because in all other religions, you have a method of converting. But in Buddhism, we don't have any converting. We have only the way to transform yourself from who you are to a better who you are. So not about changing who you are, but changing in a better way. So I say that when you say Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, it doesn't mean that you are taking refuge to the Buddha. If you are taking refuge to the Buddha as a historical person, I guess that we are stupid. Because we all know that Buddha passed away, who died 2,600 years ago. And we all know that Buddha already got nirvana, which means that he will never reborn again. So if we take the Buddha as refuge, who is there to refuge? Who is there to guide us? There's no one to guide us because we don't believe in God. So if there is no God, and who is going to guide us? There is no Buddha. So Buddha here basically means that I take wisdom, I take proper knowledge, I take intellectuality as my guideline of the life, you see. That is a panya. And Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, I take refuge in the Dharma. Dharma is what? Dharma is again not about the Buddhist teaching, about 84,000 teachings or in the Tripitaka and Pali Canon or whatever. No. Dharma means that I take guidance in the principle of balance. So if Buddha means knowledge, awakening, so the Dharma is a principle of balance, B. And Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Sangha means that it is a community. It's a group. It's not as a monk. Yes, of course, it's also the monk. But the monk, in what sense? In different cultures, have a different monks. The whole idea of a Sangha means that a community. I take whatever community I am is, and I take that as my guideline so I can adjust myself in the community. If I am, I have this bad behavior, I am a thief, for example. So, if all my associates are thief, I will be more than happy. They will be more than happy to associate with me. But around me is all the wise and I'm the only the thief, then my life is a misery. So therefore, the Sanghang Saranang Gacchami means that you have to take your community principle as your guidelines. So basically, Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, the what we call triple gem, I would say that it is not about the proclaiming yourself a Buddhist, but giving you a boost, giving you a thought that whether your life is led by what? So your life should be led by the awakening. Your life will be led by the balance principle, and your life should be led by the community law. So basically, it is about A, B, C of normal life. A for awakening, B for balance, C for community. A for Buddha, balance for Dharma, and C for Sangha. So Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, triple gem doesn't have to define on the Buddhist as a religion, but make it secular. Make wise, make sense that you have a wise, a wisdom as a principle to follow your life. And that is, I guess that every mother would more than happy to follow that. Instead of giving the institution's idea or institutional meaning of the Buddha Dharma Sangha as a religion.
I think there's another question, but maybe this is the last question that we're going to take. There's a virtual hand, Galaxy A20S. Okay, sorry, it's the same person who kept left a question in the chat box. Sorry. Okay, now I request Dr. Ravindra Pant, Director IDC, to deliver the word.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. most venerable members of the Mahasangha, most venerable Dr. Sugando, friends, Dhamma friends, participants, ladies and gentlemen, a big Namami from India. On behalf of International Buddhist Confederation, I feel privileged to give a vote of thanks, firstly to Venerable Dr. Sugando, who gave such an inspiring exposition on the topic Dhamma, peace, and sustainable development. In his Dhamma talk, he mentioned that sustainable development is only possible when we have Dhamma and peace. He also gave a very right definition by exposition by saying that Buddhism is not a religion. Buddhism is a way of life, here and now. It was wonderful. Then the meaning of Dhamma, he gave a wonderful exposition of that, mentioning Kalama Sutta and giving an example that most of the people out of ignorance, in order to get rid of their akusala, they go to the river and take a dip in the water, just thinking that the cleansing water would be able to clean them. But he rightly mentioned that it is the cleaning of the mind which is important, cleaning of the kilesas. And he rightly mentioned that for that, you need to practice nothing but vipassana. And he has given a wonderful exposition by saying vipassana is visesena passati iti vipassana. It is vipassana, it is seeing. Passana means seeing, but it is not seeing through our eyes. We are seeing through our inner eye, our mental eye. This was an excellent exposition. And he also mentioned that how disintegrating things we go to the truth. Panyatting thapetva visesena passati. That was a wonderful exposition. And he also mentioned about paticcasamuppada and a beautiful description of nibbana, that ni plus bana, desire getting desirelessness. Banato nikhanti iti nibbana. So, Bhante, it was so wonderful to listen to you, and you mentioned all those things in such a beautiful manner that everyone could understand, and that is the reason why we don't have much questions, because your exposition was so great, people could assimilate things directly. Once again, I would like to thank you, Bhante, for giving us this Dhamma talk. I am also thankful to the participants and also the supporting staff of IBC, International Buddhist Confederation, for making this event a big success. Friends, Buddha says that everything is impermanent, anicca. So also, what comes into existence also ends. And we have to stop our Dhamma talk at this time. And I feel that we'll have more opportunities where Bhante can also give us such a beautiful way describing, sustainable development with Dhammachakra. This is something fantastic, and we need to promote this to the wider audience so that people can get more of Dhamma and could practice it in their life. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sada sukti bhavantu. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba dhammanubhavena sada sukti bhavantu. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba sanghanubhavena sada sukti bhavantu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pant. With this, we come to the end of the program, and we hope to see you all in our next Dhamma talk in the series. So to stay updated, please visit our website, ibcworld.org, and our IBC social media pages. Have a very good evening. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anil. Thank you.
Thank you, Sukamat too.
Pacific.